Tim Tszyu, and I'm with TheOnlyKayla Podcast.
Thank you so much for taking the time to do this interview. We are just days away from your big fight night. Tell me, how has your camp been this entire time, and how has it been also getting back out there and getting in the ring?
Yes, it's training camp's never smooth. It's always hard work. So we're plugging along. Been in Vegas now for nearly 3 months. So it's been a quite a long time.
Now, the last time we saw you in the ring was in March. How has this time been off, and how have you been utilizing it to really prepare to get back in the ring in a few days? In a few days.
Yeah, I've just been grinding along. It's simple, Boxing's it's quite repetitive at what you do, and you just got to keep doing it and doing it, and then that's where the magic happens.
Now, tell me, what are you looking forward to getting back in the ring?
Just feeling those gloves and feeling the bones, cracking bones, basically.
And now, before we get into, the big fight night, I want to talk a little bit about your story. You are a big name, but I feel like there's still a lot of people who are very interested in your story. So for people who are just now tapping into who you are as an athlete, as a boxer, can you tell me a little bit about where you're from and what inspired you to want to start boxing?
Yeah, well, look, my dad, obviously, my dad was a former undisputed world champion, so I guess that's where it all started was from him, and that's what brought us into the sport. Boxing's given us so much. My parents came from a small little rural town in Soviet Union to Sydney, Australia, and reached the very top. And like me seeing that, I wanted to do the same thing and get to the very top. And here we are now, years later, fighting for a world title, for my second world title, actually.
Mhm. Now, yeah, I know about your father's career, and obviously he is legendary. Did you feel any pressure, uh, being that your dad, has such a big legacy and has a big name? Did you ever feel pressure coming up that you had to kind of like match that?
No, I wouldn't say I've always been hard on myself, I guess.
Mhm.
Like I've always wanted the very, very best of everything, and the very, very top of everything, and that's how I've always been as a person. And so I put the pressure on myself, and I didn't want to, I guess, be ordinary. I wanted to be extraordinary and live an extraordinary type of life. So this is why I'm doing boxing.
And you're doing it. So, big congratulations to you on that. At what point in your career did you realize that you have now made a name for yourself and a brand outside of your father's name? Because, like we had mentioned, your dad is legendary, but a
Mm.
lot of people now know you for who you are as a boxer and your talents. So in your career did you realize, okay, people know me for me?
Yeah, I think the first one was during COVID, when I first fought Jeff Horn, a former world champion, and defeating him in 9 rounds. So that for me was the my little moment towards building my own name.
I want to talk a little bit about your fight earlier this year with Fundora. Now, if you were to have been one of the judges in that moment, would you have scored yourself differently?
I haven't rewatched the fight, so
Okay.
I can't really comment on that question.
Okay. Now, can you talk to me a little bit about, because you have experience fighting him? Can you talk a little bit about how you think that fight would go if he was to get in the ring with Crawford or Spence? Because I know that that's what's been in talks.
Yeah. I think it'd be interesting, because he's so tall and his hands are so lanky. They're quite hard. So Crawford and Spencer, they're technicians, and for me, I don't really care. For me, it was more like I'll take a few hits I'll take a few hits, but I'm gonna put more in. These guys are a bit different. They don't like to take hits at all. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how that unfolds.
Would you ever consider getting in the ring with Crawford?
Yeah, for sure, for
How do
sure.
you how do you see that playing out?
Oh, I'm confident in victory by any means.
Awesome. And now, again, I know you have a big fight coming up in just a few days, but I always like to ask fighters, looking into the next 5 years, who are maybe some of the top three fighters that you would love to get in the ring with going forward, within like the
All
next
right.
years?
I guess my dream fight would
Mm-hmm.
be against Canelo. I think
Ooh,
he's the man, and I feel like I could go up in weight divisions soon. But there's Errol Spence. That's another big one, and then Jamel Charlo. That's another big one.
okay, so that was gonna be my next question. If you would take that fight with Charlo.
Yes,
And given
yes.
everything that he's been dealing with, do you think that he could possibly bounce back and come back in the ring, as the fighter that we all know him to be?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. This
Guys
we're
get
we're
it.
we're, we're boxers where we should be able to. And I don't know what he's exactly going through, but hopefully he figures it out.
Definitely. Now, you mentioned that you would love to move up in weight and fight Canelo. I did want to ask you a question because I know that um, we often see fighters move up and down in weight, and then we see some fighters who kind of get their rhythm in one weight class and choose to stay there. I feel like from the outside looking in, right? Whenever we think of, let's say you were to go up to 160 or 168, right? It doesn't seem like such a huge jump in hindsight. But I've been hearing a lot of boxers saying that even if they move up in one weight class, even though it feels like it's only a few pound difference, it actually makes a significant difference. So can you talk to a little bit about that, about if you had any experience, moving up and realizing like, oh shoot, this is a few pounds, but this is a lot? Or do you feel like
Yeah,
weight is not as
yeah,
hard as people say it is?
yeah, for sure, for sure. The bigger they are, the harder they punch. So it all changes when you move up weight divisions. And I've been sparring sort of light heavyweights my whole life, so I'm sort of used to that light heavyweight type of division and super middleweight. So uh, I'm sticking with at the moment with 154, but yeah, my future definitely lies by moving forward, moving up.
Awesome. I do want to talk a little bit about your interaction with Turkey Sheik, and just to see if we can get an update on anything that's going on there. I know that there was some miscommunication and there was some back and forth between you guys. Where do you guys stand today? And do you see yourself working with him in the long run?
Look, I haven't spoken to him. I'm with PBC. I'm with PBC and No Limit, and we've got a great working relationship. And what we're doing, I'm pretty happy with. And if there are future fights that do present themselves, then yeah, I'll talk with my team and we'll put everything on board. It's simple. I'm a simple guy,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not disloyal. That's the thing. I'm not disloyal, and that's what people usually sell themselves out for money and this and that. But yeah, I'm not a sellout.
That's awesome because it's not always about the dollar signs at the end of the day. Do you think that's where the miscommunication was between you guys? Maybe the disloyalty, or you felt like, you
Yeah, it
know,
could be, like maybe I think maybe Turkey's just used to everyone saying yes, 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 and sometimes it doesn't happen that way, especially
Mhm.
where I come from and what my beliefs are.
Yeah. And you know what? It's okay. Sometimes it's okay to say no. So that's
Exactly.
awesome. And,
Exactly.
I'm awesome. I'm happy that you were able to make that decision and stand on it. Tell me, what do you want your legacy to be going forward?
Um, the greatest boxing family ever lived. If I can go that way, then I've done my ancestors proud.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tim. I'm really excited and I cannot wait for your fight in a few days.
Thank you. See ya.
Wish you the best of luck.